Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I finally got around to watching the Women's League Cup final, only about a week late. So, talking about that today, I got this nice black and white scarf for Derby County since it was played at Pride Park. It's actually a Hull FC Rugby League scarf, but it was the best I could do. I don't have a Derby County scarf, but Derby County, I don't know if they're the best hosts ever because the pitch quality was really poor. Um, it looked really dry. It actually kind of scares me to think that Derby County plays on that field 23 times a season. It's probably not that bad to start the year, but still, I think that a team in the championship might have better pitch quality. I was kind of surprised by that. Um, but I don't think it affected the game massively. I think it more contributed to the wider discussion around pitch quality in the women's game that's been going on for a long, long time. But it didn't affect the game too much. So we'll get into that. Chelsea did win the match. It was maybe just about deserved. I mean, I think Man City had a bit more of the possession and a few more opportunities, but I think that the better opportunities came Chelsea's way. Uh, like there are a few instances where Chelsea player would make a pass that like split apart Man City's defense, and that didn't happen too much on the Man City side. Like I think they had one really good chance, and otherwise, even though they had a few more opportunities, didn't do too much on them. I think Chelsea defended fairly well. Uh, but Chelsea got first goal in a very fortunate way. Raya Ramirez, for as good of a player as she is, I don't think had the best game in front of goal at least. Because she got a one-on-one very early on and didn't score. She had the shot saved, but it bounces off the keeper, off a defender, right back to her. And at this point, she's past the goalkeeper and just has an open net she can tap into. So it took like the most fortunate possible deflections to get right back to her for an easy goal, but she initially missed the shot, and then about 30 minutes later, she got another chance, again one on one, and she tried to dribble around the goalkeeper, uh, and ended up not even getting the shot on target. It probably should have been 2-0 there. Um, so Chelsea maybe missed a few chances and actually probably could have won the game by 3 or 4 goals if they had been a bit more lethal. Um, I feel like that's maybe a bit harsh on Man City because they did do a decent job in the game and did create several chances. I just think the quality of chances were much better on Chelsea's end than Man City's. Um, but Man City eventually got back into the game. It took them quite a while, but in 65th minute, Fagino has a shot. It was a decent shot. However, it was probably something that Hannah Hampton could have done a better job at saving. I couldn't quite tell. It looked like it maybe took a slight deflection off Millie Bright, and that can, like, if the ball changes direction even just a little bit, that could mess with goalkeepers quite a lot. So maybe that's why Hampton didn't do a very good job with it, but it looked like a fairly savable shot that she probably could have and should have saved, but it ended up in the back of the net. None of the goals in the game were actually the most conventional because one was a goalkeeping error, the Man City goal, even though I do think the Vigino shot was pretty decent. Um, and then one of them was a really fortunate deflection. And then the second Chelsea goal, again, was fairly fortunate because sometimes you see defenders get in the way of a cross and it just ends up going in the net that way. And there's not usually much they can do about that. It's just a bit unfortunate. Maybe they mistimed it. Uh, so it was an own goal off a failed attempt to clear or break up at least a cross that ended up in the Man City goal, which was kind of unfortunate. And for some of the quality chances Chelsea created, their only actual goals were both fairly fortunate deflections. So That's why I said I'm not completely sure if they deserved it or not. Because I do think they created the more quality chances and did defend fairly well. Even though Man City had more of the ball, they didn't have too many quality chances. The only time I think Man City had like a really good chance was like 5 minutes after the goal they scored. And that time it was saved. Nothing happened of it, but they got a nice pass into the center of the box. No one in front of her to shoot, and just it got saved. Um, so it was honestly a fairly good game. I think Chelsea probably were the better team, probably deserved it, and took their first step towards their hopes of a quadruple. I remember the same thing being in discussion last year about a potential quadruple. They ended up only winning the WSL. They mentioned a few times Arsenal beating them in the final last year, which I appreciated. Unfortunately, Arsenal weren't in the final this time, but I have some good memories of beating Chelsea in the League Cup. They'd actually lost 3 previous finals in a row, so maybe it was overdue that they win this one. Um, but it's the first step to a quadruple, maybe. I have the benefit now of knowing that they lost to Man City in the quarterfinals of the Champions League last night 2-0. So that might be a bit of a challenge to overcome. I really hope they don't win the Champions League because they've been getting closer and closer every season, and that's kind of like as an Arsenal sport, like that's our thing. We're the only English team to win the Champions League in the women's game, and I'm really scared that at some point Chelsea's going to do it. But hopefully they don't. Seeing Man City get the 2-0 win last night fills me with a bit of hope. It's actually this League Cup final was the first of 4 games in 12 days between Chelsea and Man City. They've somehow managed to get each other in the League Cup twice in the Champions League because it's an aggregate and in the WSL. Um, and one other thing to bring up is Man City sacked Gareth Taylor 5 days before this game, which I think is probably the right decision. Like, with the star power Man City has, they shouldn't be fourth in the WSL. They shouldn't be 4 points off a European place. Uh, and perhaps we're already seeing the fruits of a new management system with that 2-0 win over Chelsea. It didn't quite work out in the League Cup final, but that might see Man City improve for the rest of the season. We'll see, but for right now, it's another trophy for Chelsea. Maybe one overdue since they lost the last few League Cups, but hopefully it won't lead to anything else because I'm really nervous that they are going to win the Champions League and take Arsenal's thing.